Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Curiosity Key podcast, where I'm joined with Verity Mann, the founder and CEO of Women on the Web. Now, I'm really excited to bring this interview with Carol because she is a lady on a mission, and I'm also very honoured to be part of her initiative, which is it's called Women on the Web, and it's all about helping more women become more digitally literate and have all of the tools that they need to use tech, or the vast amounts of tech that's available online at the moment, especially around helping you grow your business. So welcome, Carol. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello.
So I just wanted to start really about, what prompted you to start Women on the Web, and what kind of questions were you asking that led you to starting this, really?
Okay, so quite easily, our main business is a company called We Get Digital, and we build websites and we do SEO and digital marketing and stuff for people in business. So that's been running for about over 10 years now. And I set that up because I've always been involved in digital something. In 1986, I computerized the company that I work for, just because I wanted to make my life easier. And it was a sales company. We were selling property in Spain. And I went to my boss and said, look, I'm sure we could make things a lot easier if we put everything on one of those computer things. And then when you ask me who bought a property for X in this area, last October, I can just press a few buttons and tell you, rather than having to sift through loads of files and stuff. So he said, yeah, that's a really good idea. Why don't you do it? So I did it. So without knowing it, I actually built a CRM system, client relationship management system, as we know. And so anything that I was hooked on computers then. So anything that I could find or do on a computer to make my life easier, I just dug around and did it, and just tried to find out how to do it, whether it was a new Word document, whether it was a new Excel document, whatever it might have been. So then what happened then? Then obviously the internet came along in 1995, and I just thought, what great way, we can connect, we can communicate with people, there's emails, and oh my goodness, it's just brilliant. And so obviously sort of started doing things there. And then fast forward a lot, I did a degree in visual communications as a mature student. I'd got 3 small children and I was pregnant, but I just went and did a degree. I just wanted to do it, I had to do it. And put all of that together, the technology, the understanding of tech, and wanting to just, do things that really helped other people, plus the sort of ideas of how to communicate visually and doing that professionally, that led me to then starting a web design company. And so then forwarding from there, people who we were sat with in the web design, doing websites for people, they'd be like really excited about their websites, and yes, they want to get a really good website. And I'd say, so well, that's great. So what are you going to do now? How are you going to market your website? Oh, I don't know anything about, I'm not very good on computers, and I don't know technology. And you'd ask them, what about CRM? Are you going to integrate a CRM system? They wouldn't know what a CRM system was. Mm-hmm. And I'd even have people coming to me saying they've got an idea, they're starting their new business, and I'd say, okay, have you got a domain name or hosting? What's that? And what's a domain name and what is hosting? So, and the majority of these, I have to say, were the women, because I network a lot with the WIBN and women in business and stuff like that. So it was just that I realized that it wasn't something that was it was a problem, sort of this lack of digital literacy was in effect holding back women in business. So I know that's a very long answer to the question. That kind of...
No, not at all. And it's really good, because I mean I've heard your story before, and it's absolutely fascinating, especially being let loose on one of those computery things, and also being able to work for somebody that gives you that freedom and flexibility to go and explore how to do new things. And I think that's really important today. I know I've been really fortunate in my career so far to have bosses that if I present an idea or something that I want to learn a bit more about, they've sort of said, yeah, go on, kind of crack on, explore how to do that, or figure it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, my boss could have easily turned around and said, no, forget it, don't, you know, and then that would have maybe, my path would have gone differently. But he said, no, yeah, great, do it. So I didn't code at that, and I don't code in depth. I understand what code does, but, you know, I think I'd rather stick pins in my eyes than sit there coding.
It's a slippery slope getting involved in code.
Yeah, I'm more of a creative. I mean, I can dabble around a bit of CSS to change some styling and stuff, but, you know, other than that, I don't, you know, you don't need to code. So we use other people to code, which is what I did with the first CRM system that I built. But yeah, it's there are still a lot of people out there. There's still a lot of women who really, you know, just struggle so much with digital and how to make it all work, and understandably, and just even if you did know how to do it, even I'm sure you and I, we've had conversations and we've struggled. So, well, yeah, we could use that, we could use that, we could use that, we could use that. Which one should we use? You know, well, I tried that and I spent $3,000 on that and it didn't work, and I tried that and that didn't work, and that wasn't exactly what I needed. So, you know, it's. But what we did was, I mean, do you want me to lead to Women on the Web now?
Well, no, I think one of the things that I love about Women on the Web is that I consider myself pretty digitally literate now. But the best thing about Women on the Web for me is that you've got so much access to tutorials and things for people that are completely, you know, just getting started, have no knowledge whatsoever. And then people like both of us that, you know, we are digitally literate, but we don't know everything. And it's a really great inclusive tool to help you get up to grips with what's going on in the kind of digital tech world when it comes to growing your business, because I know that it can be so overwhelming because there are so many tools out there.
It's a trusted environment, isn't it, as well?
Yes. And I think, you know, I personally, not being a huge fan of women's only events, the thing that I do believe in is, you know, really playing to your audience. And I think for what it is that you're doing, the fact that, you know, you only have female contributors and provide that safe environment, but also you don't limit it. You know, you're not saying, oh, if there's a man there that, you know, wants to learn more about tech, you're going to say, no, they can't come in.
Absolutely
but
not.
It's, you know, it's brilliant because you do have that inclusivity, but you do very much know and understand who you're targeting.
Yeah,
which is important.
and I think it's also really important for members and, say, potential contributors to understand the community that's actually building up between the contributors, and how we're all helping each other and how we're all supporting each other and actually doing business together.
Yes. So can you tell me a little bit more and tell our listeners a little bit more about why you wanted to start the community side of things and the sort of benefits that you've seen that you might not have expected when you first got going?
Yeah, I think there's lots of things. So we built Women on the Web, and the very simple format is that we interview all the contributors. So all contributors are the women who create the little short 5-minute tutorials on anything within their specialist sort of area. So we've got like Susan, she does Microsoft Office training, and that's her job. So she's doing little tutorials on all things within Microsoft Office that, you know, things we wouldn't have known we could do, and, you know, and even the normal things as well, just sort of, you know, how to, I don't know, open up a page or something, or how to format it, down up to some more complicated tips and tricks within Excel. And then we've got accountants, because that's really important, because we're going to have to use the tools now, like your QuickBooks and your Zeros and your whatever it is. Sage is lagging a bit behind, apparently. So the idea was to get specialists in different areas, you know, maybe social media, LinkedIn, business development, project management tools, all sorts of, just to get down and use the tools and have people to show you how to use them that have been vetted, in inverted commas. I hate that kind of, but yeah, I mean, every single person who applies to become a contributor, we will interview and make sure that they're the right kind of person. So I know a couple of women who are really techie, they're brilliant, but they're not the right kind of person for Women on the Web. because they don't have that, I suppose patience might be a good word, or that empathy with the fact that people don't get things. So they're the kind of people who are techie and say, well, if you don't get it, well, forget it, obviously it's ridiculous. But I want it to be a platform. I want it to be a platform that's practical and motivational.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really great advice for anybody listening that is sort of worried about specializing or just wanting to know more about who it is you're targeting. So, as Carol said, that she's targeting very people that have got no experience whatsoever of using digital tools. So you don't want to overwhelm people by giving them access to very technical experts that won't kind of bring them along that journey. And I think that sometimes that's a mistake that a lot of businesses see, and I've seen it happen over the last sort of 15 years, is that companies will presume that they know what people want and try and kind of force it down their necks, if you like, without necessarily taking their customer on the journey with them. I've seen companies fail because they've had that approach, and also companies that have succeeded because they've really, really understood who it is that they're targeting and taken them on that journey with them, which is, it's great to see you do that. And you were doing that right from the start, weren't you?
Yeah, and again, sort of just the format, just to go back, is just to put the contributors. So contributors create tutorials in their specialist area, and members can connect with any contributor they want at any time. So under every single tutorial, there's like a contact form, request a tutorial, they can go to their website, they can do business with them. So there's all of that as well. And then the other side of it is obviously the members. And so many people said to me, oh, you can create a membership platform, blah, blah, blah. But here comes another one, is that 4 or 5 years ago, we created a membership platform. We actually built one called The Businesswoman Today. And we wanted it to be a cross between LinkedIn and Facebook, because people on Facebook didn't want their personal sort of side of things to come into their Facebook page, and then LinkedIn was too business-like. So we wanted something that was a cross between the two, where you could be you, but you could be your business as well. So on your profile, you could put a picture of you and your logo. So it was sort of together. And we built that, and it was great. It took 3 years, but at the end we thought, oh, do you know what? It was just like we'd have had to drop everything else that we were doing to run it. And we had another business partner with us as well, and she runs networking groups and stuff. And yeah, so we just sort of thought, well, anyway, luckily we sold it. So we managed to sell that, and that was, so when I started Women on the Web, I didn't want to have the community within the website. The website is very, very absolutely dedicated to solving tech problems, and not high-tech problems. I mean, just literally tools, even if it's, again, as I said, how to use Microsoft Word, how to add a page in WordPress, how to start up your QuickBooks, set it up properly for your accounts. So we didn't want that. But then obviously we've got the great Facebook. So we thought, well, why not? We'll just use a group in Facebook. So we've got a private group in Facebook that everybody who becomes a member and everybody who's a contributor goes onto the Facebook group. And that's the social side and the group side and the community side of Women on the Web. But then what has surprised me is the WhatsApp group that we've all got as well for the contributors. And everybody's like, we're just really communicating well, in there. And I think there's, we're bouncing off each other. Has anybody got a tutorial on this? Has anybody got a tutorial on that? As well as in the group, people are being able to request tutorials there. So, maybe we don't need a form under every single tutorial. Although I think when you're watching a tutorial at that very moment, you might think, oh, hang on a second, I need to learn how to do that as well, and I haven't been able to find that. So request a tutorial all over the place on the actual website is quite important too. But yeah, I see the community being a really important part of it moving forward.
And have you found that you've actually saved yourself time and money and frustration by building it based off that feedback from the community, rather than kind of building it and just giving everybody what you think that they want straight away?
oh crikey, we are. I mean, the reason I started Women on the Web was, in fact, one of the things I did was when I found the URL, I thought, oh my God, that's a great URL. I've got to do something with that. And I posted womenontheweb.co.uk up on Facebook and said, I've just got this great domain name. What do you think I should do with it? And people who knew me and everything and what I could do, they came back with short tutorials on how to do stuff digitally. And I thought, okay, that's what I'll do. So it started, you know, I think we don't use the communities we've got to do our own research enough. You know,
no, I completely agree with you there.
People don't. They steam ahead and they've got this proof of concept the whole time. So we're constantly, at the moment, we're giving away free for life 500 memberships, free for life, and as a way to get that community going, as a way to test it. So, you know, anybody who goes in there, if they find an error, if they're not paying for the platform, you know, it's not a problem, and we can now refine things from there, as well as from the contributor point of view, as well as from the membership point of view. Yeah. And we're just about to redo it, Charlie, you'll be happy to hear, whereby you can upload the video straight to the
happy days.
Oh, happy days. So
I think that's the thing to remember, isn't it? I think, you know, if it's you know, I'm a huge advocate for launching you know, an MVP, minimum viable product, and that kind of concept of learn how to build the plane. Build the plane as you learn how to fly it. Because what I've seen so much, especially in tech, is that people will go down the rabbit hole of building these incredible products, these incredible solutions, without testing it with the users first, then coming to launch it, and then nobody wants what it is that they've got to offer, or they're finding it really difficult to sell it in. Whereas I think, you know, what I've loved about your approach is that it's very much driven by, you know, what it is that your target market wants, and then what is the best way in giving them that information. Because I know that, you know, I mean, I was actually introduced to you by a mutual connection. And as soon as I met you, I knew that, you know, we were on the same page. You know, you were a woman on a mission, that you had all of this energy and passion for really changing the landscape of how women have access to technology. Also because, you know, 13 years ago, I started my first business, which was importing olive oil and Sardinian food. And, you know, having done engineering at university, you don't learn how to set up a business. And there wasn't, especially 13 years ago, there wasn't anybody really teaching you how to use the internet and digital tools on how to save time, save money, and get your business off the ground. And I think as well, because I had quite a bad relationship with learning at that point, I didn't really look very hard, but I did call on my network, which I guess is, you know, am I right in saying that that's what you're trying to achieve, is that you're bringing that kind of in-person calling on your network for help, but into an online community?
No, absolutely. I think, but the one thing that, you know, sort of stage 2, if you like, will be, at the moment, the contributors are all people who can show there's a tech bit about it. So it's about showing people how to use the tools, why use those, what, you know, any shortcuts, you know, all those things that we get stuck on. And I think a lot of women, they sit in front of their computer and go, I can't do it. And, you know, they want to do it themselves, because at the end of the day, you know, it saves them time, it'll save them money, it costs them time. That's the problem. It's going to cost you time or money, whichever way you look at it. Either time to learn to do it yourself, or money to pay somebody else to do it. And interestingly enough, when we did the research for the report that we wrote, is a lack of digital literacy holding back the female entrepreneur? It's a big report, and we did a lot of questionnaires and stuff. So what we found was that a lot of women wanted to learn how to do it, but then pay someone else. Mm-hmm. But you need to be able to actually, obviously, you know, map out what it is you want, and then get somebody to do it technically. Exactly like I did with that CRM system back in 1986. I knew what I wanted, I mapped it all out, but I had somebody else to actually technically do it. Mm. But if I didn't know what my options for consideration were, I wouldn't have been able to map it out. So yeah, so there's part of that. But what I was going to say is the sort of next wave of contributors, if you like, after we've sort of got all the technical ones, is going to be more of the business consultancy and coaching arm of it. So, but I don't want that to come in now, because I want the platform to be known for what its fundamental job is, and that is to go in and be able to unstitch and unpick any technical issues that you might be having. You know, if somebody's building their WordPress website, you can log in and just say, oh, how do I add a page, or how do I do this, or, you know, anything like that. Yes, you can go and search on Google, yes, you can search on YouTube, but you know, you invariably get some long 45-minute tutorial and the bit that you actually want isn't there. So that's what. So yeah, but I just wanted to say that there's going to be a sort of second wave of consultancy and more of that kind of more nurturing side of business, and maybe, you know, I don't know, any kind of business consultancy that's not the showing how to do stuff.
Yeah, because there is an element of you know, accountability, and you know, there's so much value that people can gain in working with a coach, or even as part of a group coaching program. And I know that, you know, I've spoken to various people about the benefits and how much you can accelerate the growth of your business by working with a coach or being part of that group program, because sometimes knowing what you need to do or even how to do it isn't always enough. You need somebody to kind of like say, right, okay, well, when are you going to do this by, and hold you to account. Because if you work for yourself, you know, sometimes that can be quite lonely, and you miss out on having that, you know, that accountability level. So I think that'll be a really good addition, like future addition anyway, to the platform.
Oh, absolutely. No, it'll be a future edition. So there'll be a department. There'll be a coach and consultancy department, if you like. So you'll have the technical knowledge, training, teaching department, and then you'll have the sort of anybody. The only one we've got who's not, in fact, showing anything technically is Ambuja, and she's a lawyer.
Okay.
So she's going to just put, because I think at any stage it's important to be able to have the legals sewn up and to be able to watch any tutorials on, you know, limited company or partnership or sole trader or something, you know. And she's very good. So I made an exception there, that we've got a legal bit that comes in, because we've got accountancy, so we might as well have but she can't really, you know, there's nothing to show technically. That's more just, you know, advice.
Well, I think it's really good because there are a lot of digital tools that give you access to kind of like out of the box contracts, out of the box to, you know, terms and conditions for your website, especially with GDPR these days. You know, it's easy to do that whole cut and paste job, but if you don't understand what you're looking at, you don't know how to read a contract, you don't know how to read and interpret terms and conditions, then you can set yourself up to a whole world of future challenges. So I think that, you know, it's a good exception to have, but especially from an accountancy point of view. I mean, you know, for like I grew up, like my parents had small businesses, and you know, sort of, it was Sage Line 50 back then. I think people still do use Sage Line 50, but now I just look like how easy digital accounting tools make it, you know, for people to run their business. But then there's still a lot of people that just find that too overwhelming. So
to set it up and to get it going, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Sorry about that.
So I think it's great. So just are there any sort of key lessons that you've learned along the journey so far that you could kind of share with us to say, right, okay, well, we didn't anticipate this happening, it happened, here's what we did, and here's what we learned as a result?
Oh golly, yeah. I mean, that's going to be, because I think you're learning every day, aren't you? And I suppose what we learned with doing the Businesswoman today, which was to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah, and just about structuring the company. I think when you're starting a business, when you're in business, you've got to try things out. Yeah. Don't be frightened. I think the worst thing is that, you know, be confident in the fact that you can actually deal with anything that goes right or wrong, but don't anticipate, don't borrow problems from the future.
That's a really great piece of advice.
Don't borrow problems from the future. Just go for it. Just be brave. Just go for it. And then if something doesn't work, then don't do it again. It was like we did the Wow Live, and somebody said, oh, you know, you're distracting from the fact that you're a digital company, you shouldn't do lives, you should just do webinars. But it was brilliant. It worked really well. And we got such good feedback, and it was great for the contributors as well. We've got 3 contributors who deliver 20 minutes of little golden nuggets each, and it was great for them, and the interaction and the buzz in the room was just great. And so we did 1, and then we did 2, and that was even better. And we ran out of chairs. And then now we're going to do 3 on the third one on the 30th of April, 30th of this month. Yes, 30th of April in London, near Old Street. I think we're doing it. So it was just, the buzz in the room was great, and we got another 3 great contributors. So the idea of it could have been awful, which is fine. So we drop it, but we did it. You've just got to do it. Again, we're going to sort of do the webinars. I think Charlie, you're going to help us with the webinars. And but you know, when the time is right, and we'll get that right, and hopefully we'll get that right as well. And you know, there's things that you can always be learning, things that you can always be monitoring, looking at, growing, changing, because as fast as technology changes, you know, things change and you've got to adapt to them. What doesn't change, and I will say it and I will always say it, and that is obviously the people and the psychology of it. And the internet, I will say this straight to camera, the internet is more about psychology than technology.
It's so key, because I think again, you know, technology and engineering companies, it's like, you know, everything's, you know, you're trying to make everything digital, you're trying to make everything online, easy, you know, try and shortcut these things, but you can't beat the power of that human to human connection. And also, you know, the power of just picking up the phone and speaking to somebody or meeting somebody in person. Because I know, you know, a lot of my business, what I start doing is that, you know, sort of training, coaching and support online, you get such different feedback from people when you speak to them in person, and I think you do need that blend of the two.
Why do you think videos works more than, you know, posts, and that, and video posts are more powerful than, you know, fixed posts? And it's all about that communication. I got called in to be a keynote speaker a long time ago, actually probably about 8 years ago, for a talk for the utility industry.
Yeah.
When I was doing more social media at that time, and it was the topic was how to humanize the utility industry.
Yeah.
That was a challenge, but I found British Gas had done it. British Gas did it so well, and they had their Twitter, so they had people on the Twitter, but in the morning they'd put up like who it was Simon and Sarah, or you're, you know, on Twitter at the moment, and please, and then they'd have a link to a little video on the British Gas website of them sitting at their desk, turning around and saying, "Hi, I'm Simon. I'm with you on Twitter today. So this is just me, just to let you know, this is where I work, you know, blah, blah, blah." So the moment you're starting to chat with them on Twitter, you know who they are. And that was a big utility company, you know, sort of having to bring it down to that psychology of connection and human beings connecting with human beings, albeit through a computer and on a screen. But you've got to get to the point in your business and in your daily life that you don't see screens and you don't see technology, but you just see people.
Yeah, be able to look at the whites of somebody's eyes and then see what's going on.
That's who's out there. You know, a very good friend of mine says to me once, he said, the biggest line in the internet, he said, "You don't have eyebrows on the internet."
I love that.
You know,
I've never heard that before.
The eyebrows are what, you know, sort of that expression and everything. I mean, we've got the emojis now, so you know, it's all try, but use those tools. I always say use the tools where you can connect, where you can communicate, however that can be. Always remember, it's not about technology, it's more about psychology. And once you get through the technology, and once you know, it doesn't become a massive barrier, then you can concentrate on how you are communicating with people in the right way.
That's great advice, because it's like, you know, technology can help you it can help save you time, it can help save you money, it can help you know, sort of speed up processes, be places where you can't be in person all the time, especially for companies. That's a huge advantage. But especially, you know, for social networks and the you know, in-person networking as well, you really can't beat that, humanistic approach.
No, but you do need
have to actually get out there and blend the two.
I think you do need to understand, though, with the technology side of things, is what to use, when, and where.
Yeah.
That's the sort of, and that's what we're hoping to unpick as well on Women on the Web, is, you know, sort of so that you get advice from people. And, you know, we're all pretty much, I think all the contributors are pretty much on the same page, which is, again, one of the important things, to interview all the contributors and make sure, you know, that they're part of a whole kind of mindset. And it is that same mindset that will help people. Because I actually don't consider myself as a very technical person. I'm curious. I have curiosity, and I've broken as many things as I've fixed by going in and sites. And then the only time I've ever learned how to do something or learned about it, and I learned about, you know, coding and stuff like that, has been because I've broken it.
Yeah.
And I thought, hang on a second, if I've broken it, there must be a fix.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a bit like a Rottweiler, and we've spoken, haven't we, about curiosity. And it's that curious, if you've got that curiosity, now how does that work? That must work. There must be, other people have made it work, so why can't I make it work? I've got to make it work.
Yeah.
And now I put out something yesterday, actually. Somebody wrote a blog about sort of new things that Gmail have brought into Gmail. And so I was looking at that and said, oh, that looks good. Oh, that's great. Oh, quick. And I zoom off and I'll try it out. And then it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, hang on, why doesn't that work? It must work. I'm going to make it work. So it's that, I suppose, that sort of tenacity over things. And then once it works, you sort it and it's behind you.
Yeah. And I think that's another one of the benefits of Women on the Web, or, you know, if you're going to work with an expert, work with somebody that's, you know, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, is that, you know, not everybody has time or the inclination to be that curious and ask those questions. So that's fine, because we're not all the same. If we were all the same, we'd lead a pretty boring existence. But, you know, acknowledge that that's what you're like, and work with people that do have that curiosity, that will go and figure it out, so they can tell you, you know, do you need that extra feature? Do you need to be spending your time using it or learning how to use it? Is it applicable to what it is that you're focusing on right now? You know I do that with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn are forever releasing lots of new features and updates, but not everybody needs access to them. And not everybody needs to use every single element of the platform. And it's just key to work with somebody or learn from somebody that can tell you what you can benefit from, and what's not worth your time, not worth investing your time in.
That's why I've sort of done the Verity now, the digital consultancy bit side of it, because again, I've had so many people who just want to be set up.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, what should I use Outlook? Should I use Gmail? Should I use this? Should I use that? How do I set it up? I've got one at the moment who, she said, I've been using my email since 1999. Right? 19, how long's that?
1999? 20 years.
20 years. Seems daft to think that 1999 was 20 years ago, doesn't it? That's crazy. Anyway, so 20 years, and she's never had any structure to her email. So I said, look, come see me and we'll sort it out. We'll get it all structured for you in the right way, so that you've got the right, and just putting things into folders and little labels with different colors. And I know it sounds daft, but, you know, all that kind of what we love from stationery, you know, different colored Post-it pads, you know, it's just taking that online and being able to just get everything sorted, as you know, again, as well, with autoresponders, with getting your forms and emails and things that you can, anything that you can do within the realms of communication that you can do automatically, digitally, without compromising your communication skills, and letting it sort of just figuring out where the touch points are, and at which point you can do that automatically, and which point you have to do it manually. That can save you a multitude of, you know, time and effort and headaches and stuff like that, just getting around that. So I'm absolutely passionate about automation and integration at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a real key point that you said, because a lot of people come to me at the moment and they're just like, oh, Charlie, you're completely anti-automation, which is not true at all.
No.
But the key thing that you said is to use automation without compromising your integrity or those key communication skills. The reason why, you know, is I actually understand understand where you can use automation to have your benefit. You know, a great example of that is on a website. You know, you can't have somebody on the other end of a live chat function on a website 24 hours a day. It's not possible. But if you're operating in a global market, then having somebody on the other end to answer sort of standard questions that crop up all the time, you know, things like that, you can automate that. You can make the user experience much more accessible and easy without having to be present all the time.
Gotcha. Using AI and FAQs is great.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, you know, like Booking.com, they have it's a Facebook Messenger bot, and on their website as well. It's a great example, you know, for the amount of people that have questions about their booking, cancellation, and all these things. Booking.com has actually automated a lot of that. And it just makes, you know, because sometimes you don't want to have to sit on the other end of a phone on hold for 40 minutes before you speak to somebody. Where I very much disagree with the use of automation is on things like social media, where you're communicating on a personal profile, and you're trying to use automated tools to create shortcuts, or, you know, sort of send very standard messages to everybody. And I think
that on a personal profile.
Sorry?
On your personal profile, you can do automation.
Yeah, don't get carried away though.
No, I don't want to. I think that's atrocious.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are using it. You know, hands up. I found out about it a few years ago, and, you know, I tried it out because, you know, I thought, oh, maybe this will shorten the process. Maybe this would make my life easier, because sometimes you do find yourself saying the same things over and over again, but it promotes the wrong mindset and actually gets you into quite a sticky situation longer term. And the amount of people that are really damaging their reputations because of the use of this is unbelievable. But I could talk about that for a long time. But
no, I know.
I think I hate automation for that.
I've got an automated response on our page, on our business page.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah.
But not on I wouldn't do it on my personal profile. So that's a good. You've given me an idea to write a good blog. I'm going to put notification or automation.
Oh, I love it. It's great. And that, I think, was one of the things that I love about you, Carol, is that, you know, you do have that natural curiosity that's never left you. And, you know, you inspire others to be more curious. You know, you have a very infectious way of doing things, infectious personality. And you know,
thank you.
Pleased to be part of, you know, and I'm a contributor for Women on the Web. Because I very much believe in what Carol is trying to achieve with this platform. And I just think that, you know, you're doing an amazing thing, and lots of people can really, really benefit from that.
Oh, bless you. Well, that's the idea, because I just think, you know, it's the, what is it, the power in the masses, or just, you know, teamwork, and just, yeah, but the right team, if you put it together in the right way, then it'll always work.
Yeah.
It'll always work. And if you're prepared to listen to other people and what they say they need and want, and change it, and, you know, adapt it. And again, from the moment you said to me, it was, you know, rather than going through the process of going Vimeo and this, that, there. So now we're bringing a technical director on board, and we're going to get, and he said, oh yeah, he said, I can sort that out. He said, what we could do is we could just do it so that the contributors go upload, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, fine, do it.
Collaboration. Yes, it's all about collaboration with experts, as well as, you know, it will just help you achieve your goals so much faster.
But the right people. Richard Branson said, didn't he? He said, you know, the only reason he was successful was because he surrounded himself by the right people.
Yeah. As always, my favorite Jim Rohn quote, which is that you are the average of the top 5 people you spend the most time with. And it is so true.
That's a good one.
You know, surround yourself with amazing people that will support you and lift you up. And
but you've been amazing, haven't you? You've gone off and you've learned, and it's just about that. You know, you should work on self-improvement, and you should work on all of that until the day you die.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't stop. I was having my son's now, who's joined, he's 27, and he's now sort of commandeering We Get Digital and taking it over. And we had a meeting this morning. He said, Mom, I want it to do this, and I want that, and I want it to be perfect. And he's just launched he's done the new website. Have you had a look at the new website?
I haven't. No, I've got to go and check that out.
Have a look. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's designed that, and he wants it, and he's like really fussy. He says, no, that's wrong. It's got to be perfect. So he's going for that absolute top look image. And, you know, he wants it to be the company to want to work for. So, you know, that striving, that passion. I mean, I don't know where he got it from. but it's great, and it's about respecting that, and you can be a family business. I love it. It's great. It's I work with my husband, now I work with my son. I got another son in the pipeline and a couple more as well, so why not? And it is about really just having the right people by your side and having fun with it as well, because we're all working 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
we could all work 24 hours a day, and I'm desperately trying to avoid, and I said it this morning, and I've been saying it to myself, and I'm now starting to say it out loud, is I don't want to become one of those people who is too busy.
Yeah.
I don't want to somebody say, oh no, I'm too busy, I can't do that, I'm much too busy. No, I'd rather die with things left to do.
Yeah. Well, I always say that there's no such thing as being too busy. Is that you or is it like you're being too busy being busy? And if you ever say I don't have time to do something, it's just because it's not a high enough priority in your mind right now.
Yeah.
And then that's how you just end up with those, the priorities stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. I think with this podcast, that was on my list, and it didn't, it's taken it this long to become live because it just wasn't a high enough priority for me last year. And I had to make it a priority this year, but other things have had to be deprioritized in order for me to make this happen. It's just to understand what priorities you're working on right now.
Exactly. And if something doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, but just not to be in a rush to get everything done and to do everything. And then, because when you try and do too much at one time, you end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you just not have time to to spend time with the people who you want to spend time with. And we've all got the same amount of time.
Yeah.
We've all got the same 24 hours in a day. And it's about but everybody talks about managing their clients' expectations. I'm always talking about managing my expectations of me and what I do and how often and when I do it. And it's like, if I haven't done that, for me, a priority would be like if somebody's website wasn't working or their email wasn't working and it was our responsibility, then oh my God, that's top line.
Yeah.
I'll drop everything to make sure that somebody's business is working. Because otherwise that's just what we do. That's the responsibility that we have as the company we are. But if it's down to sort of I really want to put out a post, or I want to design something, or this, that, and then that has to take that has to be done when it can be done. Blogging, I'm useless. I say I have a blog, but I say, I'm going to write that blog, but and I try and say, right, I'm going to focus on that. It doesn't take long, but it's just
time blocking. I'm a huge convert to time blocking, which is that kind of sort of set yourself days for things like social media, blogging, the things that you don't necessarily prioritize but need to be done. So if you try and block out your time and just sort of say, right, okay, come what may, this is my time, I'm going to do it, no other distractions, and then that's going to happen. And I found that being really, really brutal with my time. So if somebody rings me, just say, right, okay, instead of picking up the phone right now and responding, I'm going to say, I'll call you back because I'm doing this thing.
It is. That's being brutal with your time, but being also a bit brutal with your free time too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I even schedule, it's like scheduling personal time, or sort of scheduling time to go take the dog for a walk or go to the gym. Just to get yourself in those, in that mindset that Michael Hyatt says, what gets scheduled gets done. And I love that quote because I found myself still sat on my computer screen at 8 o'clock at night going, I haven't even thought about what I'm going to have for dinner, let alone go to the gym or do anything else. And it's not a healthy way.
No, I know it does happen, but I think I just don't want to be somebody who's too busy.
Yeah, I think it's great
for the people who are important, and your kids and your husband and stuff like that. That's it really. Like we took that week out, didn't we? And I didn't go on the computer. I thought, what, if something comes up urgently, fine. If it doesn't, then fine. But we took some good time out. So just. And then if my kids are watching this, they go, oh God, this is going to talk about balance.
Awesome. I love it. So how do people contact you? How do people find out more about Women on the Web?
Womenontheweb.co.uk. If anybody wants to become a contributor, if you click on contributors and there's a drop down, become a contributor, just literally fill in the form, or I'll repeat, it's free for life for the first 500, and we're now at about halfway. So we need to get the other 250 for free. And, you know, the only thing we ask in exchange is that, you know, just get involved in the Facebook group, and, you know, make comments, put in stars against tutorials, watch the tutorials. And so we can learn, so we can make it better for you. And yeah, that's Women on the Web. I think and then we get digital is that wegetdigital.co.uk as well.
Brilliant. And yeah, for anybody watching or listening, I will include these links in the show notes on my website, which is charliewyman.com/podcast. So everything will be there. So you don't need to worry about having to write things down or worry. So yeah, but thank you so much, Carol. It's been great to speak to you and for you to share your journey.
Lovely to speak to you too, always.
Thank you. And then, yeah, until next time, speak to you soon. Ciao for now.